Together we can mobilize a global mission force to finish the task. This is your tribe.
Welcome to our latest episode of This Is Your Tribe. And today we have two lovely ladies from the continent of Africa, Kate Azumah from Ghana, and also Mercy from Kenya, Mombasa. Welcome. And so today we want to talk about this very special magazine, which is also digital and also in print form and in different languages, Afrigo Magazine. So we get to know about this initiative and also this wonderful work done and it's sponsored by SIM and AIM and a few other stakeholders. So Mercy, would you like to introduce yourself? And then after that, it will be Kate. And just let us know a little bit about yourself and your journey as a mobilizer. And maybe later on, we can talk about the magazine more. Mercy, this is yours.
Thank you, Ray. It's nice to be here right now. Thank you for having me and for talking about Afrigo, which is very close to my heart. Yes, my name is Mercy. I live in Kenya, Mombasa, Kenya. Mombasa is the coastal town of Kenya. Married with two kids, two girls, 7 and 4. My journey as a mobilizer almost started by accident, really. I wasn't planning on being a mobilizer.
Yeah.
In 2010, I attended missions training and short-term exposure to the mission field. I did that with Missions Campaign Network led by Sam Gugi. And so we had an intense around 7-8 weeks training, in-house, learning all about missions, the world movement, Kairos, and all that. And it was also fresh and so new. And then, after that, we went to the mission field for around 3 weeks. And then we were done. I went home, went back to the field. And then, in between there, got married, stopped going for missions. And basically didn't do much apart from training in Kairos. I didn't go to the field. One thing that I was very passionate about is writing. I love writing. And I remember while at the mission field thinking, there are so many missionaries here doing such beautiful work, but who will tell people that this is happening? My church had no idea that something like that would happen. And I had a desire to tell such stories. And I thought about it for a while, and then, things just happen. And there isn't really much that came out of just the thought. And fast forward to several years later, and Sam Gugi sends me an email and says, "Oh, there's this magazine and they're looking for this kind of person. Would you be interested?" Because he knew I was passionate about missions and he knew I was passionate about writing. Now here comes something that blended both. And he thought, "Would you be interested in doing something like this?" And we're like, "Yes, please.
Cool.
Let's see where that goes." That's what happened. So of course I got in and lots of interviews here and there, talking to the people in SIM. And here I am, 4 years later in Afrigo, and it has been an absolute joy. It's been wonderful. It's this thing that happened that I didn't know could happen. I'm writing stories about missionaries and missions and just helping mobilize the church so that they can know this is happening. And that has been a wonderful journey. And here I am.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I think I have more questions now, but I'll leave the time with Kate first, and then we will come back to you. Is that all right? Kate,
that's right.
Congratulations, because I know you are just officially on board for just a month or so. And so when we release this episode, I think you will be more like, I think it will be another month or two. But anyways, let us know that what was your journey. You're now the managing editor of the Afrigo Magazine, but are you somebody involved with Christian literature and editorial stuff before, or what's the story?
I think the beginning of my journey as a mobilizer actually started with my coming to faith in the Lord Jesus Christ. Yes. And I really wanted everyone to know. So I remember on my way to church with my little sister, we'd be giving out tracts, sharing the gospel with other people. And I really wanted everyone to also know Jesus. Yeah. And then in university, I joined a Christian group on campus called Excellent Youth Outreach. And that was where I really got introduced to missions, because almost all the camps were about reaching out to our nation and the nations of the world, praying for nations. And I hadn't seen anything like that before. Yeah, so I joined the prayer team, which was mainly about praying for nations. So I remember on Tuesdays, you'd meet to pray for about 2 hours, and it wasn't for ourselves, but it was for nations. And then we also had regular retreats. We'd have times of just 3 days of fasting, I mean, no food, just praying for nations and interceding. And then we also had a worship and intercession camp, also just fasting, worshiping for nations. So it was out of all those places of prayer that the Lord launched us into missions. Yes, so I actually serve as, even though in this period I'm on a little break, I serve as the missions coordinator, yeah, for that group, Excellent Youth Outreach. Yeah, and by God's grace, I've been involved in mobilizing young people for missions to about 30 African countries. Yeah, I think we've had so many young people. I'm sure there'd even be about 100, yeah, or over. Yeah, sending them on trips to African countries. And in my work with missions, I've also gotten in touch with many mission leaders, especially in Ghana. So I am quite involved with GEMA, the Ghana Evangelical Missions Association.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So I know Pastor Ray, I know Reverend Hyde, I know the director of Pioneers Africa in Ghana. So I've met a number of all those mission leaders. Yes, so with GEMA, I help with some of their communication for our mission fairs and for the Ghana Missions Handbook. So we published the Missions Handbook, a Ghana Missions Handbook, and I worked on it like as the prayer coordinator and then as one of the editors. And then I've also been involved in editing our missions book. So we wrote a book about our short-term trips to 12 countries in 2017. So it was about sharing the stories of about 44 missionaries. So I worked on that book with another colleague, compiling, putting it together, editing. Yeah, so that's my background with mobilization and with publishing. Thank you.
So how about your involvement with Afrigo as well, right? I mean, it's not just starting from last month. It must be a longer,
yes.
relationship.
Yes. So I think our book is available on Amazon, our mission book. It's titled Seeds of Impact. So I think Kami must have seen it online and then got in touch. And so I think she did some interviews with me. And then with my involvement with GEMA, we've been interacting, publicizing some of our programs on Afrigo, and then also following up. Like I realized that Afrigo had a lot of rich content and very inspiring and very well done as well. Yeah, so coming on board has been a great blessing, and I've learned so much already. Yeah, and I'm very, very inspired. I like it that a magazine like Afrigo is sharing the stories of Africans in missions, sharing opportunities, sharing resources, and it's really inspiring. Yeah.
That's
so
wonderful.
It's great to be part of Afrigo.
You know, I just hearing from you, I just realized you are a very humble person, because you always say, I have learned already. You know, it's such a joy to see that you really enjoyed working with others, and also not just within your context, and also want to share with more. Mercy, just let us know a little bit about the history and the background. How about that of Afrigo Magazine?
Thank you, Ray. I think before I get into that, I just thought to mention that Kate is one of the very first people we interviewed for Afrigo Live.
Oh.
So yeah, that was very interesting when we were doing our live on short-term missions. She was the go-to person, so that was really amazing and to have her with Afrigo, that's great. So Afrigo started in 2016. It's a publication of SIM, and now in collaboration with AIM, African Young Mission. And Afrigo's main purpose is to mobilize the church in world mission. And there's a lot that has been happening in the African circles where missions is concerned. You know, a lot has been, many missionaries have been going, they have been sending, they have been praying, you know, even sometimes back to the places where the gospel used to be. And some of those stories really aren't being told. And Afrigo started as a tool to just tell this history of missions and also to mobilize the church today and tell them this is happening and we would want you to get involved. And that's how Afrigo started.
But you know, when I look at the right now, I'm serving on the website. I think there are a lot of resources, and through the years, you have different issues. You're talking about different subjects. So for each issue, is that monthly or quarterly, or how's it done? You know, how many people have been working together to put it together? Like just two of you, or there are more contributors? I believe there are more, right?
Yes, there are more. It's a quarterly publication, so it comes out 4 times every year. So we have an issue out in March, June, September, and December. Afrigo, right now, it's me and Kate and Tabitha and Kami that she mentioned. The 4 of us are the ones who are really hands-on, you know, doing the writing and the production. But Afrigo is produced by many people, different African leaders, different organizations. We all come together, we brainstorm on themes and, you know, resources, on the possible people to interview. So we have editorial meetings every once in a while, and we say, okay, so what can we talk about this year? Can we float the themes for the next year? And different people from all over Africa and the world really just come. Everybody says, let's talk about this, let's talk about this, and we have a list of possible themes for the year, and then we narrow down to 4 for that year, and that is how the themes come together. And then everybody says, oh, for this team, I know this person, you know, like Kate says, I work with Raymond, or I work with JF Mensa, or I work with this leader who is really good at, you know, this topic. Can you talk to him? And maybe we have an issue on Islam, like is our next issue, and somebody says, I know this person who's been doing missions among the Muslims for a long time. You should talk to him. So that is how Afrigo comes together. It's really a production of a lot of people, a lot of African leaders, a lot of organization, a lot of collaboration happening. We have a different editorial, the person who writes the editorial. We have a different editorial writer for every issue, for every year in most cases. Sometimes we have 2 in a year, depending on what the topic is, but we have someone from a different organization doing the editorial for us, and then we just tap into all that wisdom and, you know, the pool of experience from African mission leaders across the world.
I'm just scouting like your Facebook. I think there's a lot of work, and it's, you know, for me, when I look at it, you have this African style because this is really colorful with a lot of photos with very capital letters in here and there. But I know this is not just it. Kate, since you're the managing editor, can you tell me a little bit about, maybe people don't really know that you have more than just the English version of the magazine, right? You have multiple languages, and it's beautiful, and but I believe it's also a lot of work. And how does that work? And also, how do you put in the hands of the people who are using that very specific language in their context?
Okay, and I want to get the question right. So you're asking how we get the magazine into people's hands, into readers?
No, it's starting with the different languages you have. Probably, like I know there is French version of Afrigo,
Swahili,
and Swahili,
and Portuguese. Yeah, and then
to put a magazine together in one language is already hard enough, and you only have like 4 people. And now you're talking about you have like so many. I mean, just just out of curiosity, how did you do it?
Well, I think that's a good question for Mercy, because so far I've just been involved with the English version. Yes, so I'm sure she'll be able to throw more light on the many languages and how that works.
Mercy?
Okay, thanks, Kate. I think when people read Afrigo, like you did, Ray, and there arises a need. You know, somebody looks at it and says, "This is such a good magazine," but the people in Mozambique wouldn't know what it wouldn't be beneficial to them if it's in English, but it's really good. How about we just translate this to Portuguese? And somebody says, "I can do that, I can do that," or the Swahili one. You know, somebody looked at it and says, "This is really good." But what about the people in Tanzania? I would want them to read this, but the people in Tanzania primarily speak Swahili. So what do? How about we translate this? So that, I think that's how the translation started. The French translation was a person called Alonzi, was the first non-English translation. They translate the issues that we do they just translate Afrigo itself, just the articles in Afrigo, they translate them to French. And then the Swahili issue came, which was really led by Kami, who's our AIM counterpart. She spearheaded that, including the Portuguese one. That was mostly her. And so there's a different team that leads each of those languages. Like the Swahili, there is a team mostly made up of volunteers who translate and then put it together. And then the Portuguese one, there's another team, of course, of the people who are speaking that language, because I wouldn't know what to do with the Portuguese version of Afrigo. I only know Obrigado. So, but
Gloria
I'm
Dios.
largely, oh yes, and that now, I know that now. I'm involved in the Swahili translation, primarily because I speak Swahili being Kenyan. So when the first translation is done, I help with the checking. So because I speak Swahili,
Proofreading, I know that. Okay.
yes, proofreading. So I'm involved in the proof. I actually finished that last week, proofreading the second issue that we're doing in Swahili. So that is how those two came to be. The three. When I came in, Alonzi was already on, but Swahili one and the Portuguese one, Afride, started while I was still on board. So that is what happened. And the Portuguese and the people in Mozambique and should be Angola, the Portuguese speaking countries are really happy about
And
it.
how does that work? So there must be some time difference, right? Because
Mhm.
the English one come out first, and then there will be
Yes,
the translation process, right?
yes,
So usually is the
yes.
how does, sorry, go ahead.
So they aren't really following each other chronologically, the ones that are being translated. For example, the Swahili it's called Afritwende. Afritwende did not start from issue 1, volume 1 of Afrigo. So the people who are running the issue look at the issues we have produced and they say, we would like to start with this. So their issue 1, volume 1 could be our issue 6.
Oh.
Volume 2, yes. And then, you know, Afride could say, all right, we like all this, but how about we start with issue 4, and that will be our issue. So they pick one that is relevant to them at that time, and they translate that. So the issues in other languages are not strictly following the issues we produce, because we are in volume 6 now. That would be a lot of issues to start from the first one. And Afrigo has improved over time. Sometimes the topics we're looking at now are the ones that are really relevant to them. And so they said, like, let's start with this. It's current. We can do this first. So I think Swahili one started with the one we did as business as mission. I think that was the first translation of the Swahili, which was, I think, issue 4, if I'm not wrong. So the people who are involved just look at it and say, we would want to translate this one. It's relevant to us. And so they translate the whole thing.
That's beautiful. That's nice. Okay, Kate, come back to you. Is it okay if you can tell me what are the how do you decide which subject or topic we want to cover and talk about, and how do you collect this information and articles from? Since you're the managing editor now, so you know it must be you know a process of collecting all this information from the stakeholders, right?
Yeah. Yes, so I think Mercy touched on it. The main hub for collecting the ideas is the editorial meetings. Yes, so as she shared, we have so many connections to mission leaders, connections to missionaries. So they suggest or give ideas as to who can write this part, who can write this segment, who can do this story, this a missionary we can interview. Yeah, and then like she shared, so the editorial team is like an idea bank that gives us ideas. And then after they've shared the ideas, the rest of the team, that's myself, Mercy, Camille, and Tabs, also follow up on the articles. We already have an idea who can write what. Yes, so I think there is a guideline also for writing the various segments. So we send to the prospective writers, and then they write and then send to us. We review and edit, maybe sometimes send it back to them to review to see that we really captured what they shared. Yes, so that's in summary, the process of collecting, finding and collecting the articles.
That's really cool. I'm looking at it now, and I'm very surprised to see the, this is really well done in quality and everything. But I think there's still a lot of effort to put it together, right? I mean, it's considering your audience. So are these all in digital format or are they printed?
Okay, so these, well, we are on the website, so that's the digital format. But I know that there have been some printed issues. For example, even before I joined Afrigo, I remember finding some of the issues. I don't know where they came from, but then I think in some offices, in mission circles, I found some of the print versions. And just, I think towards the end of last year, I visited a mission agency in Acts 13, and they had the issue on prayer available for anyone to choose. But I know that we have a scholarship for organizations to print who would want to just print the hard copy versions. So there's a scholarship of 50% of the cost, which Afrigo takes for those organizations or institutions that want to print the hard copy. We have that package available as well.
Okay, so thank you very much. I think I have one last curious questions. I think Mercy can help me to answer that. Every ministry, and especially for printing and publishing efforts, that costs some money. If you want to print it, you want to edit it and put it together, and for whatever cost, and personnel and whatever. And but I believe all these materials are free to charge. You can also download it free. So there must be some kind of collaboration between different partners, like some ministry like SIM, AIM probably supporting financially, but some people will do the deliver to the people who are willing to read it or whatever. So how does that work? And and probably you can talk about the collaboration between all these different stakeholders.
The best person for that question would have actually been Tabitha, but unfortunately she's not here now. But the little that I know is that as a sub ministry of SIM, Afrigo raises support from different donors. So there's that part involved. The magazine is not sold, like you said, but we avail a higher resolution version of the magazine if people would want to print it for themselves. We don't print Afrigo in bulk, or think mainly because our audience is spread across Africa. It would be really expensive to print that and then send it to all the countries in Africa. That would be really hard. And the internet today has made it possible for me to work in my little office in Mombasa and do something and send it to Ray in
that's
Taiwan.
crazy, hey?
And he has it in a second. So we think that's more efficient, that's easier. But for purposes of offices, people who would want to just take it and put it somewhere for the people visiting to come read it, like Kate did, So there are instances where we will print it, but in small batches. Really, we don't print it in bulk, and it's for a specific need. For example, we have someone in Nairobi who mobilizes churches to reach out to Muslims, and we have a ministry. His name is Jared Oginga, and Jared printed several copies. I know Daniel Salamu. I think Daniel prints some, if I'm not wrong, in Ghana. So people will print from where they are, but we are not able to print. Yes, we are not able to print as Afrigo. And like you mentioned, there is a collaboration between different ministries, but the collaboration is mostly with content and distribution, really. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much, Mercy and Kate. I think lastly, not the least, maybe you can, within very short few sentences, that what is so important to work together? Because I think magazine like Afrigo is the best demonstration of that. So many different stakeholders. Even we're talking now. One is from West Africa, another person from East Africa, and your stakeholder is in North Carolina, in the United States, and that's not easy. But what's the beauty of it? So maybe starting from you, Kate, and maybe Mercy, you can help me to wrap up.
Yeah. Well, I think the first beauty of it is that we may be from different places, but we are all one family in Christ Jesus. Yes, so
Amen.
That's yeah, so that's how do I put it? So should I say it puts us on a level playing ground to begin with, to an extent. Yes, because we all know what's expected of us as believers and all that. Yeah, but it's nice and it's exciting because there's diversity on the team, and then our competencies are more spread out, because someone like Kami or Tab's experience as an American is she brings something on board with that experience and with that perspective. And then for Mercy and I, as Africans in different countries, we also bring our own uniqueness, unique perspectives and giftings and experiences on board. Yeah. So I believe we're able to do so much because we are diverse. We are diverse in our background, diverse in our networks, diverse in our connections, diverse in our competencies and skills. Yeah, so it's really beautiful to work together. Yeah, there may be challenges here and there, but I believe they all help to gel the team and help make us much better and fruitful. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you. Mercy, how about just bring us home?
I think Kate has put it very well. As Mercy, with my experience in Kenya, it's not enough for me to put out a magazine as beautiful as Afrigo, as just me and my experiences. It's just not enough. But then I bring in Kate, and I bring in Pami, and I bring in Tabitha, and I bring in a lot of other people who have contributed to the magazine from very diverse tribes, like Revelation 7:9 says, a great multitude from all, tribes and peoples and nations. That's the beauty of being in the Lord. And that's the beauty of God, really, the diversity that there is. And there is nowhere else that we can express that, like in the way that we serve. When we serve and we are from different tribes and different nationalities, different countries, totally different cultures. Of course, there has to be very deliberate efforts to gel in and not knock heads along the way. You have to know, if I say this is how Kate perceives it, not because it's wrong, but because she's from West Africa, and if we say this to a West African, this is how it comes out. If I'm talking to Tabitha, who is an American, and there is a way I will say something and it will sound very rude, but in my Kenyan, I'm thinking, oh, that's just okay. So you have to be very deliberate in gelling together as a team. You have to be very deliberate in maintaining the oneness, because that is the beauty of it all. Oneness and unity in diversity. We actually did an issue on multicultural teams.
Yeah, I just saw it now. I just saw it.
Yes, yes. It's one of the things that was a great concern. Like how do people work when so many teams, different people? How do you put that together? So maybe you the people who follow you can just go check out issue 54 of Afrigo, and we have tackled the whole issue of multicultural teams and just how to work together despite the diversity and create something beautiful for the world.
Yeah, I would encourage people to check it out. What is the issue of volume 5.4, Afrigo Magazine, and the link is right here. And thank you very much for your time, and congratulations on your your success so far. But we all pray that it can be more beneficial to even readers beyond African continent. We were just talking about, probably we'll select some articles and we'll translate into Chinese. That would be very exciting. Thank you
Very
very much.
cool.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Kate. We have our sister Kate Azumah, and also Mercy Kambura. And thank you very much for your time, and God bless you and for your work, and thank you for the fellowship. And let's say goodbye to our audience. Have a good one.
Bye bye. Thank you, Ray.